Good Shabbos and a happy secular New Year. Last week we asked why the Torah, when introducing Moshe Rabbeinu to us, doesn't tell us who his parents are, just tells us what tribe they came from. And we spoke about the fact that the tribe they came from informed us of who Moshe is. But the Torah, however, this week's Torah portion takes great pains in actually mentioning who the parents of Moshe were. Amram, his father, and Yocheved, his mother. So what can we learn that Moshe Rabbeinu's parents were Amram and Yocheved? There must be some lesson that we're meant to learn from this. When Moshe Rabbeinu was called by God to go and redeem the Jewish people, he went on to Egypt. And the first person to meet him was his brother Aaron. And he told Aaron that he's been sent to redeem the Jewish people, and Aaron was thrilled. And together they went and gathered the elders of the Jewish people, who initially all believed in Moshe Rabbeinu and his mission. And together they were going and approaching Pharaoh. Then the Torah tells us that Moshe and Aaron left Pharaoh. And Rashi asks, what happened to the elders? And he answers that before Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron went into Pharaoh, they slipped away one by one. So all these elders who were meant to go with Moshe and Aaron and be a presence in front of Pharaoh slipped away. And the only one who went into Pharaoh was Moshe and Aaron. Now the Medrash tells us that what caused them to slip away, what brought fear upon them that stopped them from going into Pharaoh, says the Medrash, when they came to the palace's gates, to the walls around the palace, they saw like smoke and fiery furnace, and you had dead bodies on the side. You had people who were walking around without arms and legs. You had those nailed to pieces of wood. It was an absolute environment of incredible fear and trepidation that came upon them, and they weren't ready to go through with it. The question then is, how in this situation where everyone else is afraid because of what you see, how did Moshe and Aaron actually go in and come to Pharaoh? That means to say that Moshe and Aaron had so much faith and so much belief in what Hashem told them that they had no fear at all to go into this awe-inspiring environment and approaching Pharaoh with their mission. So if it's one person, you could talk about the quality of the person. But if it's two, Moshe and Aaron, there must be something about the family, about the parents, that it was imbued within them and had imbued within them this strength of character and faith and ability to not get scared of something that is really fearful. What was it? So, of course, we told in last week's portion about Yocheved, Moshe's mother, that Pharaoh called Yocheved and Miriam, Moshe's sister, and told them that they were midwives, and when they're going to give birth to, they're going to help the Israelites give birth to children, they, without the mother's knowing, should, if it's a boy, make sure that the child is not able to live and doesn't survive, without even them knowing that something was done for that to happen. And of course, what happened was that they didn't listen to Pharaoh, this awe-inspiring figure, but they allowed the children to live. And Pharaoh doesn't just give up there. He calls them back and he says, what's going on? I told you this. I told you they should all die. And they said, well, these Jewish women, they give birth even before we come. So it's too late when we get there. That strength, the ability of these women to be able to stand up to Pharaoh, that's what the home environment, in a sense, where Aaron and Moshe, to a degree, grew up in, because Moshe, of course, was nursed by his actual mother. And of course, Amram as well was someone who, when there's a decree that all the children be thrown into the Nile, nevertheless, still had the faith to continue to have children. This creates the Moshe and Aaron who are not afraid of Aaron. So the environment in the home that we create for our children has a great impact on the kind of people they're going to be. Just now, I just saw a headline. There was a basketball team. There is a basketball team called the Maccabees. It's the Yeshiva University basketball team in the United States. They broke many records by winning 50 games in a row this week. Their record, actually, their streak came to an end just now. They lost their first game, but they won 50 in a row. Something remarkable in college basketball. Now, what made them so good? This is a yeshiva team. Some of them are training to be rabbis. Many keep Shabbos and kosher and so on. It's a frum community, a frum school, a religious school. One of their best players, or the best player they have, is a fellow called Ryan Turrell. And Ryan actually was offered scholarships to many other very prestigious schools. And it turned him down. One such place was West Point. He was offered a scholarship to West Point, and they would pay for his full college tuition. They would, as long as he played basketball with them, and they would allow him to keep Shabbos, which is what he wanted to be able to do as well. So what Ryan did, he's called the Chabad rabbi that has a community near West Point, and asked him, what does he think about him going to West Point? And the rabbi told him, it's going to be very difficult for you to keep Shabbos and kosher here in West Point. The practices, the pressure, it's not going to be easy for you at all. I would highly advise against it. Because of that, Ryan went to Yeshiva University, which allows him, of course, to keep Shabbos and kosher and to be as a religious Jew. Now, where does Ryan get this strength? So Ryan's father is a Baal Tshuva, someone who came back to Yiddishkeit from Los Angeles. His mother was the girlfriend who was not Jewish at the time, but she went through conversion, and the two of them lead a very strong Orthodox home. And that's what caused the Ryan to grow up in an environment that the most important thing for him is to be able to keep the Shabbos and the kosher and so on. There's a lot of things greater than even basketball. Now, everyone says that Ryan is so good, he's going to be in the top league in the NBA when the time comes. And nevertheless, he turns down fame and money in the college years just to be able to be committed to his faith. And that he gets from his home. And he made, this Yeshiva University team so successful. In 1991, the head of the media in Brazil, one of the television stations, so it's chief executive, came to the Rebbe and asked him, what could he do to make sure that his children act appropriately? And the Rebbe said to him that if they see in your home that everything conducts itself the way Hashem wants, they will also want to conduct themselves like this. However, when children see their parents conducting themselves differently, you cannot have a positive effect on them. If you and your wife will be role models in your home, that's what the children are going to see. Then when you're going to talk to them, it's going to have an impact on them. And so it is so important for us to lead by example. We create the environment, and you don't know the long-lasting effects that has on our children and even generations to come. Good Shabbos.